Good morning, OU kids. It's Miss Carmen here. Thanks for joining us for worship this morning. In a few minutes, we're going to listen to some fun songs and hear a great Bible story. If your parents are around, tell them to turn up the volume and let's get started.
I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. Well, burning bush told me just the other day that I should come over here and say, I gotta get my people out of Pharaoh's hands and lead them on to the promised land. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. Well, me and God's people going to the Red Sea. Pharaoh's army coming after me. I raised my rod and I stuck it in the sand, and all of God's people walked across dry land. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. Well, Pharaoh's army is coming too. So what do you think that I should do? I raised my rod and I let me clear my throat, and all of Pharaoh's army did dead man's float. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, what? Oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. One more time, Pharaoh, Pharaoh, oh baby, let my people go. Yeah. I said, Pharaoh, Pharaoh.
Hey everybody, I'm glad you're here. My name's Eddie, and I want to tell you one of my favorite scripture stories. It's a story about something that happened to Jesus and his disciples one night after the sun had gone down. So let me set it up for you. There was a day when Jesus and his disciples had a very busy day. They fed 5,000 people. And at the end of the day, they were very tired. So what they did is the disciples got in a boat and went out onto the Sea of Galilee. They were going to another place across the sea. But Jesus decided he would stay on land. He wanted to pray and just rest for a while. While the disciples were out on the Sea of Galilee, the sun went down, and then a storm came up. There was rain and wind, and the waves were breaking over the edge of the boat. And the disciples started to fear that the boat was going to sink, that they were going to die. And then in the middle of the storm, one of them looks out on the water, and they see someone walking to them, and they can't make out who it is walking to them on the water. It's Jesus. They realize Jesus is walking to them on the water. They can't believe it. In the middle of a storm, Jesus is walking on the water. They're kind of scared. They're not sure what to say. But Peter says, Jesus, let me come out to you. And so Jesus says, well, come on. So Peter climbs over the edge of the boat and he starts walking towards Jesus. He's watching Jesus. And then Peter starts noticing something else. He starts noticing that there's still wind and waves and rain, and he takes his eyes off Jesus. And then he starts to sink. And as he starts to sink in the waves, he calls out, Jesus, save me. And here's what happens. Jesus reaches down, grabs Peter, pulls him up, and they climb into the boat together. Now, there are a lot of things that we can say about that story. We could talk about Peter's courage and bravery. We could talk about his faith. We could talk about the power of the storms. But I think the most important thing to remember about that story is that in a moment when Peter needed Jesus, Jesus was there to reach down to him and to pull him up and to bring him to safety. And here's why that story is so important to us. So many times in life, difficult things happen. We get sad. Bad things happen. Maybe we get mad or frustrated with someone. And here's what we know, is that Jesus not only promises to save us, but that Jesus does the things where he reaches down to us, pulls us up, and takes us to safety. So maybe the thing you need to remember, not just today, but forever, and you can go read this story in Matthew 14, is that Jesus will always save you. So let's say this together. I want us to say, Jesus will always save me. Are you ready? Let's do this. I'm going to count to 3. We're going to say that together. 1, 2, 3. Jesus will always save me. I hope you always remember that.
Hey kids, we are going to sing a song today called Peace Like a River. And it's a fun one, it's pretty easy, and it's fun because it has motions to it. So I'm going to teach you the motions real quick before we get started. So here's the first verse. It says, I've got peace like a river. So we say, I've got peace like a river in my soul. So we're going to point to our sole of our foot because that's funny and we're going to do it. All right, and the second verse is joy like a fountain, kind of like a teacup. That's the best I can do right now. I bet you can do it better. The third one is love. So we can make a heart like an ocean. And that's funny too. So we're going to do that, and we're going to start kind of slow so that you can catch on, and then we'll speed it up later. You ready? Here we go. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Now sing joy. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. Good job. I've got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. Now love. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. All right, you think you're catching on? It's not too bad, right? I tell you what would be fun. Grab your parents or your grandparents or your brothers and sisters, your friends, whoever's around, and see if they can do it with you. All right, we're going to speed it up just a little bit. Here we go. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Joy. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. Now love. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. All right, we're gonna speed up one more time. We're gonna do that as fast as we can. Are you ready? All right. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Joy. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. You ready for love? I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. Good job.
That was so much fun. Thanks for worshiping with us today. Make sure to join us again next week where we'll have more from OU Kids.